We are on the Chof Samad Aleph, and we're up to the third line from top. Damer of Ada Bar Masna. So really, we should go back to Chosai Namud Beis because we're really continuing a thought. So the Gemara tells us, Omer Rabba, the second line from the bottom on Chosai Namud Beis. Omer Rabba Bar Bar Chana, Omer Rabbi Yochanan. Kol Maka Shemechalin Aleh Hashem. Any Maka that you're Mechal Shabbos for, meaning it's a sakana, it's a Maka sakana, Ein misrapin mehen. You're not allowed to use a goy to heal that because you're in a matzav of sakana. And we don't trust that a goy will heal you properly. The Ikad Amri, the Amri, Vigad Amri, Amr Rabba B'chanan Rabbi Yochanan, it's not totally in Makkah Shemachal Shabbos, rather it's totally in Kol Makkah Shel Chalal. Any Makkah, as Duvi pointed out yesterday correctly, that it means a makkah that's internal, right? It's internal. Ein misrapid mehen. You can't take a refuah from a goy. My benai. What is the difference between these two shitas? Zok the more ike benayu gav hayad the gav haregal. If it's on your hand or if it's on your foot, and it is a sakana. So Zok Rashi gav hayad mechal in Shabbos aval pishein shalchal. Yad, you would be Mechal Shabbos even though it's not an internal injury. You would be Mechal Shabbos. Therefore, Lalishna Kama, that it's Tali and what's a Sakana, and since you could be Mechal Shabbos for it because it's Sakana, a misrapin, you wouldn't be able to use a goy to heal it. Aval Lalishna Basra, who says it's only Makah Shachol internal, misrapin, you'd be able to use a goy for it because it's not an internal injury. The Hoyle Mischazi. Now, what's the svara of why, if it's not an internal injury, you're allowed to use a goy for? Because the Hoyle Mischazi, since you could see what he's doing, Ichazi de Mekalko, but let's say you put some type of salve or ointment on it. If you see that it's causing damage, whatever ointment it is, you could quickly wipe it off. If it's internal, you don't have the luxury of doing that. Okay, gewaltig. Now, Tosfos points out something very, very important. Makeh shel gabayad. Pirish hainu choyli she'olah shama elav. When we're talking about a makeh, that we're saying it would be machlok, these two lashonis, whether or not you can use a goy for, that's only if it's some type of rash or something that came by itself. Oy shaloi al yidei makes cherev. It didn't come because of a wound that was inflicted. If it was done by a sword, it was inflicted by somebody. It's not just something that naturally occurred. Amrina b'chol the mechalun alei Shabbos. There, you're for sure allowed to be mechal Shabbos, something like that. Kid Amr Shmuel b'samuch, like Shmuel will tell us shortly. Hai pedaita, a wound mechalun alei Shabbos is a kanahi. It's a sakon. Mefarshim pedaita makas cherev. And the way pedaita is translated is a makas cherev. Okay, so to Gemara weiter. The Omer about the Bar Masna Omerav gav hayad the gav haregel harehein kemakas shalchalo u'mchalo Shabbos. They could also be dangerous and therefore u'mchalo Shabbos. Omerav Zucher Bar Tovia Omerav Hol makas shetzricha oimed. Any makkah that needs to be assessed as to whether or not it's very dangerous, as Rashi says, shemesukenes kol kach, it's such a bad type of situation, the person will have to be assessed to determine whether he could survive it. Any type of illness like that you must be Mechal Shabbos for. Now we're going to go through a whole bunch of different conditions and what the refuahs for them are, and what the backup refuahs. If you don't have the ingredients needed to make plan A, there's going to be a plan B, in some places a plan C, and a plan D as well. So Dr. Gemara, Amar Rab Shama bar Abba Amar Rab Yechon. The high ishtot smirta. What does ishtot smirta mean? It means fever. Ishtot smirta Rashi choyli chamo. It's the sickness of heat. Belaz, milvid, smirta, lashon shreifa v'chamimos. I believe it's touched in English as scurvy, which is actually an illness that comes due to a lack of vitamin C. And that's why sailors used to get it because they didn't have fresh fruit. Does he touch scurvy? Burning fever, okay. Kamaka shel chalal dami u'machal nolel Shabbos, and you could be machal Shabbos for it. Mehechan maka shel chalal. We said an internal injury is something that you can be machal Shabbos for, something that you will not let a goy help you for. At what point is it called internal? Pirsh rabami minasofa v'lufnim, from your lips and inside. So everything inside your mouth is called a makkah of lufnim. Boy Rabbi Eliezer, kachi v'shinimai. Okay, anything inside. What about your gums and your teeth? Now Rashi touches kachi as tinavish. The Tosfos says it doesn't make sense. It's too soft. It has to be hard. So he says. Tosfos says the kachi are like the molars, and shini are the regular teeth. But Rashi say that they're gums. What does the article say? The kachi v'shini?
Gums or the teeth.
Right, gums or teeth. And Tosfos learns there are different types of teeth. Zok to Gemara, kiven da kushininu, since they're hard surfaces, and that's what Tosfos didn't like to call gums. That's what Tosfos argues with Rashi. He says gums aren't hard. Kamaka the buroi dummy. It's like a makkah on the outside, and you couldn't let a guy help you. Idilma keeping the gavoy kaimi, since they are inside the body. Kamaka shel chalal dummy. Amar Abaye toshma hachoishesh be'shina.
And you have muscles that are just as part of the gum.
Well, that's why Rashi probably learns it is the gums. Amar Abaye. If someone is feeling there's a slight issue with his teeth, you're not allowed to drink chometz on Shabbos because it's a refuah. So you're not allowed to do a refuah if it's merely choishesh. Choishesh hudaloi. Dafka if he's choishesh. Hakayv le'tuva. But if it's hurting him very badly, shaper dami. So you see clearly that it's considered a makkah. Let me just think a second. So the Gemara has a shaila. Are you allowed to be Mechal Shabbos for it or not? Here you see that if it was Koiv Leituva, you could be Mechal Shabbos for it. The Gemara Dilma Tana Heiche the Koiv Leituva Choishish Nami Korilei. Maybe the Tana uses the word Choishish Bishinov to refer to something that's Korilei Tuva. So therefore, you can't bring a raya from here that something that's in his mouth is considered something that you're not allowed to make a fool for. Maybe I'm sorry. The Gemara's raya originally was if it's Korilei Tuva, you're allowed to do refuah on Shabbos, right? What does it say over here? You could do refuah. So you have a right, the kach v'shina, you could do refuah on Shabbos. So no, dilma tana heche the kach v'tuva choshish nami karli. Maybe the Tana holds everything's choshish, and you would never be able to do refuah inside your mouth on Shabbos. Toshma. Rabbi Yochanan kosh b'tzaptina. Rabbi Yochanan was suffering with an illness called tzaptina. Rashi says choyle shenayim. It's some type of illness that has to do with his teeth. Also, the Gabah, he went to a goyish woman to get a refuah. He went to get a refuah from a goyish woman. And the Gemara is going to discuss how is he able to go to a goyish woman. You're not supposed to go to them for refuahs. Umali shapsa. So what happened was of the chamsha umali shapsa. She did some type of ointment on him, a secret potion on the Thursday and the Friday. Amalei l'machar mai. So he asked her, what about tomorrow? Do I need to apply this ointment on Shabbos as well? Meaning, do I need to come back to you on Shabbos to do this treatment? Amalei, she told him, loy tzrichas, you won't need to. Itzrichna mai. What if I need it? I can't come back to you. I have to be in yeshiva. I won't be able to get to you on Shabbos. But if I need it, what am I supposed to do? What if it's not properly healed? Amra, she said, listen, you can't come to me, but I don't want to give you the recipe because that's my business. Ishtabali, swear to me the loy maglis, that if I give you the recipe, you will not tell it to anybody, so I'm still protected. I'm sorry? So Ishtabala, so he swore to her, L'lakay Yisrael, loy maglina, that he won't, loy maglina, loy maglina galyalei. He swore to the Rebbeinu Shalom that he won't say it over. Now, it sounds like, to her, it sounded like he swore in the name of the Rebbeinu Shalom that he won't tell anybody. But what he really meant is, he swore that he won't tell it to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So he never swore that he wouldn't tell anybody. He just swore that he wouldn't tell the Rebbeinu Shalom. So the Mochar, Nafik, Darshav Apirka. The next day, you know what he did? He publicized it in his drosha what this refuah was. Frank the Gemara, how could he possibly do that? V'ishtabala, he swore. Zok Gemara, you know what he swore? L'lakadi Yisrael maglina, that he won't say this over to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Avala Ame Yisrael maglina, but he never said that he wouldn't reveal this to Am Yisrael. Frank the Gemara, but v'yikachil Hashem, she knew, she was under the assumption that he wasn't going to tell anybody. So by him violating that commitment, he's lying. Zaktamar the gully lay meikar. No, the moment she told him the refuah, right then and there in her office, he said, "Oh, by the way, I only committed, read the fine print. I only committed not to tell the Rebbeinu Shalom, but I will tell my people." As Rashi said, the gully meikar, Yishashin Gilsaloi. In the moment she told him what this remedy was, Amar Allah, he told her, "You should know, Shalai Nishbaiti, V'lo Yamarti." Yisrael, Yisrael. I didn't say I'm swearing in the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I said I'm swearing that I won't tell him. I'm not sure why that's less of a Chil Hashem. Maybe he told a Chil Hashem if she thinks he's violating a shua. That he stabbed her in the back and he cheated her, that wasn't the issue. The issue is, would he violate a shua? So he explained to her in advance, I didn't violate a shua. I'm sorry? Maybe he wanted to share good information with her, with the people, helps him out. Alma, you see, but at the end of the day, the fact that he was willing to do a refuah like that on Shabbos shows that a chayli shinayim is like makkah shel halal. It's like an internal makkah, and therefore you're allowed to do it on Shabbos. Amar Nachman Yitzchak, shiny saptina, the illness of saptina is different. It's known that although you first see symptoms of it in the mouth, it's really an internal injury. It's really something that hurts somebody in his intestines. My simne. How do you know if you have this disease? In other words, to tell you exactly what refuah to use. How are you going to know to diagnose it? Zok to Gemara, Rami midi beikavi. Put something in your mouth. Umaisi dama mi beidari, and you're going to see there'll be blood from your gums that will come around your teeth. That's how you know. That's how you diagnose this condition. Mimai have what causes this condition? Zok Gemara, several things. Either mikridi kridi lechiti, if you eat wheat that's too cold, as Rashi says, Michael shalchitin, you ate some type of a wheat dish, so you ate it very cold, and it was in the winter, or or very hot food on a hot day that's made out of barley, or or leftover from some type of dish that's made with fish that's fried in oil. You take the oil from the fish and you fry the fish in it with some flour. That's kasa the harsana. And if you if you eat the leftover of that kaita harzana, it leads to this sickness. My avdalay. So what can you do? What was this great side? What was this actual recipe, this actual prescription that this woman gave to Rabbi Yochanan, that Rabbi Yochanan then disclosed to everybody? Amar Rab Acha Barei de Rava. This is what she told him to do. Take mesa or the water from sourdough. I'm not sure exactly what that is. It's the water that you used to make the sourdough. Vishemen zayis, and some oil, umelach, and salt. And this was the special potion that was going to heal this ailment. Umar bar Vashi Amar, it was mishcha da avza. You take fat from a goose and you smear it on the teeth, begat for the avza, with the leaves, with the wing of a goose. That was the refuah that she had proposed. Amar Abaya said, I don't think either one of you are right. Because I know Abdi Kulu, I actually tried both these remedies when I had such a condition. V'lo yitzoi, and it still didn't help. The Omer li ahutaya, until I met this Arab merchant, and he told me, Isi kashiasa de zeisa, bring the seeds, the pits of olives, the lemolutosa, that aren't yet a third grown, v'kalnohu amorachadata, and burn them on a new shovel. I guess put them on a shovel and put that in the fire. Burn them and take that ash, the davik bay, and put it on your teeth. The davik bay yudari, and put it on your teeth, and that will help. That will help. Rashi says you should put it mishureis shinayim b'fnim. So maybe on the inside of your teeth. I'm not sure exactly how it's applied. Of the achi, Abaye did that, the itzai, and that ultimately what healed my ailment in my teeth. Going back to the story, how was Rabbi Yochanan able to go to a matronisa, to an Evedes Kechavim, for refuah? The Amar Rabba Babachana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan himself. If it's a makkah of a sakana, a misrapiman. So how could Rabbi Yochanan do it? She could have killed him. Zaktu Gemara, Adam Choshev Shiny. Rabbi Yochanan was very recognized in the government. He was a very, very prestigious person. And had he been injured or hurt or killed from this matronisa, she would have been in big trouble because the authorities would have opened an investigation on her and she would have lost her license. So with his special nurses there, he could take a refuah from a goy, but a regular Joe may not. Frek Gemara, Rabavo was an Adam Chashav, and you see, it didn't prevent a goy from trying to hurt him. So how could Rabbi Yochanan rely on the fact that he's not Adam Chashav, that this guy wouldn't try to hurt him? Rabavo had the same thing, and Ramala Yaakov Minah, remember Yaakov Minah, he was James the Apostle, the same Yaakov Minah who kept on coming up with refuahs from his Rebbe Yoshke. What did he do? Sama Ashoke, he had some type of problem with his thigh or with his hip, and Yaakov Minah, this Rosh Merusha, put some type of ointment on the thighs of Rabavo, and it was like some type of hydrochloric acid. Because Viloi, Rab Ami, Rab Asi, the Lakhu L'Shoke, if they wouldn't have quickly washed it off, this poisonous potion that this Russia applied to the thighs of Rabavo, Pascal L'Shoke would have cut his legs off. So it was probably some type of highly corrosive ointment that he put on. But at the end of the day, you see that it didn't help that Rabavo was a Adam Choshev. So how could Rabbi Yochanan take a refuah from this lady? Dr. Gemara, there's a big difference. Rabbi Yochanan Roifei Mumchahav. This woman who Rabbi Yochanan went to, she was known to be an expert in medicine. So that's why he was able to go to her. Frank Gemara, how did that help? The Rabavo Nami Roifei Mumchahu. This James the Apostle was also a Roifei Mumcha. Dr. Gemara, but Shiny Rabavo, the Mukmi Ben Mini bin Avshayu, Thomas Navshi and Pelishtim. The reason why it didn't help in Rabavo's case is because this was such a Rosh Merusha. He so badly wanted to kill a Yid. He said, I don't care if they kill me. I'm willing to sacrifice my life to get a Yidin. I think that's the wrong religion. I think there's another religion that promises the virgins. I guess he got mixed up with a different religion. He says, I don't care if I get killed, I just want to take a Jew down. So yes, when you're dealing with such a Rosh Marusha, it doesn't help that there's Moira Malchus because you're Adam Chosh. Omar Shmuel.
I think there's a case that says that it was from Zara because the belief was that the later prophets on the rule, and that one
Would have been earlier.
is
I hear, could be.
spoke to the Yochel. It's a place before.
That's right. That was a before. We talked about who it was. Okay. Oh, he mentioned it over here. Okay, Zok to Gemara Vayter. Omer Shmuel, hi Padaita. Someone who is inflicted with Padaita. Now, Toshus told us earlier that that's a wound, like from a sword. Let's see if Rashi. So Rashi is Petza Makascher. So Rashi touches the same way. Sakanti, that's also Sakana, and therefore Machal Nalos HaShabbos. Maya Susa. How do you heal a wound, a gash? Lemifsik Dama, in order to stop the bleeding, you use Tachli Bachala. I think Tachli is cress. It's some type of vegetable that you cook in vinegar. Lasuke Garda. In order to get the skin to start growing back, so there's it's in stages. Lahalish Bach, you use guarded divla. So Rashi says guarded the yavla. It's a esav sheshmo yavla. It's some type of grass. Gardi means shegarid shrosha v'nois and oisa girda im girdas eitzasne. So what you do is you take up some of this grass, the girda the asna, and you also take some of the stem of a sneh, oi nikra mikil kalta, or you take toiloyim, some type of worms, shatarnagol nakam ba'ashba. So you put that on the wound, and that makes the skin start to grow back. Rab Safra, hi invisa. If you have a machla called invisa, which Rashi says is ababu adam, some type of blister, parvanka de malacha de movasi. It's literally a death sentence. It's the shliach of the malach hamovas.
It's again, Rashi says this with the word. Kleine de Eglise, de Gati,
Right.
Permanent.
Oh, right. That's right. So you're the shliach. Maya susa. So what's the remedy for this? Tigna beduvsha. Either you have to take tigna beduvsha, which Rashi says, Asef nikaroida, you grind it together with honey, and I guess you grind it with honey, and that's what you put on. Oi karbasa betilaya. Karbasa is afi, which I believe is tied to celery, betilaya in very strong wine. Adahachi v'hachi. Until you prepare this, what do you do to stem the sickness? Lazy invisa basmina. Take a grape that's the same color as the wound, the nignadar iluye, and roll it around. I'm sorry, basmina doesn't mean it would be the same age. So if it's a mature person, then you would get a mature grape. And if it's a young person, it will be a young grape. The nigdar iluye, and you roll it around on this boil. If it's a white boil, you use a white grape. If it's a black boil, you use a black grape. Omar Rava, high simta, the machla called simta is, Rashi says, nafach habit, some type of swelling, some type of inflammation. Parvanka de ashtasi, it's also it's the shliach of fever, of a machla called fever. So I guess it's heralding the oncoming of a bigger disease. Maya susa, how do you heal that? Lemachia, to heal it, you need shitin is kutli, which Rashi says is makas ez tzreda madlika begaydai yishem to mak between. You snap, and normally we snap with our middle finger. You snap with your pointer and you snap on it, so it's like giving it a zetz. You snap on it. Lemachia shatin is katuli, the likri shasiver, and then cut a cross pattern in this inflammation area, and that will heal it up. The hanamili the loichir reishi. That's only if it's not white on top, which is an indication that the pus is rising to the top and the pus will drain out. Then you don't have to worry, because as the pus leaves, that's a sign that the infection is cleaning itself out. Rabbi Yaakov chosh bepika. Rabbi Yaakov suffered with an ailment called pika. Rashi says it's something that's where the sun doesn't shine. It's something that would be similar to maybe hemorrhoids. Did he talk about hemorrhoids?
No.
It's some type of disease that happens where the sun don't shine. Oirele Rab Ami told him what to do, advised him what to do. This is what he told him. Leise shev bine ahala pulna. Take 7 seeds, red seeds, 7 seeds that are very red, that you find in a washing, in a laundromat. I'm not sure, I guess it was some type of soap it was used maybe as a detergent, and ahala tulna of so take 7 of these types of seeds. When they make a beged, they have to cut a round hole out of the beged for the neck to come through, for your head to come through. Take that piece of fabric and burn it. V'lichrech iluye nura v'lechle nir barka. Take a thread that was made from the skin of an animal, from the hair of an animal. V'tamish lei benatva chiyura. And what you should do is you should toivel it in some type of neft, some type of white neft, some type of fuel device, fuel chemical, the liklei, and burn it, and then take all that, take the ashes of these seeds that were wrapped in this shmata, that were tied with the hair of an animal that was dipped into neft, and after it's burnt, ubadele elua, put it over there where the sun don't shine. That should be your ointment. While you're preparing this ointment, what type of relief can you offer? A temporary relief. Lazy kashisa da asna, which Rashi says are the seeds of the pre of the sneh, hagedelim b'sneh. So some type of seeds that grow on bushes. I don't know exactly what they are. Leinach pika lahade pika. Now these seeds have a crack in them, like a coffee bean. Like there's like a crack in it. So put the cracks of those seeds right on the cracks that are on the pita bas. So whatever it is, the open wound will be exposed to the crack of this particular seed. The hanimili pika ilah, but that's only if we're talking about on the outer side of the pita bas, the part that's visible when you're looking at it, that you could put these seeds on. But what about if it's internal? You can't put seeds there. What if it's pika tasa? What should you do? Laisi tarba titzafirta. Get the fat of a bird. Deloy iftach. Sorry. Ochelev seira shloyolda. I'm sorry. Right. Get the fat of a goat that never gave birth yet. The livshar, and heat it up so that it dissolves and becomes like an oil, like an ointment. The lishteve, and that you can already inject on the inside. So it's like what's that called? A suppository. Like you're pushing it inside, so this oil should be able to absorb and penetrate on the inside. V'iloi, if you don't have that, lazy klas tarfa kara demiyapshe betula. Take 3 leaves. Rashi says, what type of leaves? Leaves of a kara, which is some type of gourd that was dried out in the shade, the likli, and burn them, the livder eluya, and put it on. The Eloi, if you don't have that, so these are all the plan A, plan B, plan C, right? The Eloi, let me look at the Bach. The Eloi, Laisi Mishakti Chazuni. If not, bring Mishakti Chazuni, which Rashi says are some type of chalozin. Chalozin is a fish, some type of thing from a fish, from a snail, I don't know. Viloi Maisi Moshach Kira, Rashi says, shemen zayis and shaiva krufim biyachad. So take olive oil with wax mixed together. V'linkait b'shachki de kisna, and put it into, cover it with. I'm sorry. You should put that on the wound, and then v'linkait b'shachki de kisna bekaita. Wear light clothing, like cotton clothing, in the summer, so it shouldn't overheat. Uda amar gufna b'sisva, and in the winter time you should wear something heavier, so you shouldn't get too cold. Rabavo chosh b'udnei. Did you get that? The refu, you have it all down pat, all the different options. Die hast noch chickens, ich hab noch skills. You know that story. You know the story, the chickens and skills? There was a Yid who had chickens, and he came to the Rebbe. He told the Rebbe, I have an epidemic by my chickens, they're dying. So the Rebbe said, take a bit of honig, in Misharein a bit of weiz, in Shmirdus, Mishnish Aran in this Essen, when the gets to Essen, mix it into the feed, and Zuk, mit the Tillam, Zuk, Shira, Mas, Makim, in to out, Osheil. A couple of days later, the guy comes back and says, Rebbe, my chickens starben noch. I'm still losing chickens. So he said, oh, this needs a stronger potion. Then honig, mit a bissel levait, schmier around a bissel smetana ook, mix in some sour cream, then mix that with the food, and so comes back a week later, Rebbe, my chickens are still dying. So, okay, now we got to go nuclear. Then the Weiz, mit der Honig, mit der Smetana, mit ein bisschen Gallen, wisches alles zusammen, in so Finnef kippet the Tillim, and then most for sure. So he does that, the guy comes back again. So the Rebbe says, you still have chickens? Ich hab noch skills. Sagt the Gemara weiter. So, Viloi, I'm sorry, for Baval Choshpudna, he had an issue with his ear. Oy relay Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan suggested that he should do for Refuah, for Amalei b'Midrasha, or could be Stam in the Besmedrash, they were talking about a refuah that would work for him, and this is what they told him. My Oylay, he had Amar Abaye, Amar Li Aim. My mother told me, I think that was referring to his caretaker, the kidney, right? The kidney was created to be a remedy for ears. V'amarava amali miyumi asya kulu shikainu. All of these. What let me see Rashi over here. Right, all types of drinks, kashulud, any type of liquid will be bad for your ear. Labar mimai dechoyasa, except for the water that comes out of a kidney, which is what you should use for your ear. How do you get this water? The barcha. So take a kidney of a tzoin. It's aiz she'enim esurbel b'tzemer. So you should take it from a goat that's not very fat. To the barcha karcha, from a lean, to take the kidney of a lean animal, the liquid shess of the Arab, and cut a cross pattern into it. The leinach amalo the nura, put it on hot coals. Rashi's gachalam loy chashois, and that's going to heat it up, and it's going to cause the liquid inside the kidney to drip out. The hanu ma'id enough kamine, and the water that comes out of the kidney, lishdinu be'udnei, put that in your ear. Loy karimi, it shouldn't be too cold. Loy chamimi, and not too hot. Elabshure, it should be tepid. That would be your refuah for your ear. The Eloi, what if you don't have planei? Lacy tarba the chipshusha, which is the fat of some type of thick the chipusha gamalnisa. It's some type of fat plant, some type of fatty plant. Let's see. Let's say you test what it is. Some type of fatty plant. Or I'm sorry, maybe some type of animal. Let's see what it says over here. You should take what is it over here? I'm looking at the Carbo de chipushes lisa. Chelev shel chipushes gasa. Not sure what this chipushes is. It's something. Oh, it's a fat worm. It's a fat worm. The live sure and heat it up so it dissolves. The lishta they put on the ear. V'loi, if you don't have that, so these are the plan B's, the plan C's. Limalya leudnei, fill up his ear with mishcha, with oil. V'la'avid shev psilta das pasta. And Rashi says you should take Allah orach shel shachas yerk shel chitin. So you have to take some type of large leaf that grows on straw. V'leise shuvta the tuma, and you should take the stem of a garlic plant. V'leisev barka b'chad reisha, and on one end of this plant you should put this hair from the hair of an animal. V'litle behu nura, and you should light it up on fire. Ve'idich reisha, and the other end musva be'udna, put in his ear. So he has, it's a weird thing, he has a stem of garlic that's connected to some leaves that he took from this straw, and he has a string on one end, and he lights it on fire. He lights a string that's on one end on fire, and he puts the leaves and the stem part in his ears. Velos of udnei. No, so it says velos of udna lahad nura, and he should put his ear by the fire. And Rashi says, while he does this, I don't know how long. As he does this, v'yizdor mizika, make sure no air and wind blows in his ear. He should protect his ear. And v'nishka chada v'naga chada. So you put one leaf in and then you throw it away. Then you put another leaf in and throw it away. So all of these leaves you put into his ear one at a time. Until he gets all those leaves into his ears. Okay, lishnachrina. There's another lashon as to what you should do. V'loi, if you didn't have this fat worm, going back 3 steps of the plan B, if you didn't have this, laisi shav silta bikra berka, you should take 7 silta bikra, which are, let's see what those are. Chef silta bikra are 7 threads of a thread that's made from an animal. We had it before. V'shayef le'mishcha das pasta, and you should smear it with oil from aspasta. I'm not sure what an aspasta is. Balsam oil. Okay. V'naisi chad reisha b'nura. Put one end in fire. The chad reisha b'udnei, and the other end should be in his ear. V'nishkal chada v'nagach chada, and he should put one at a time. We're talking about the psilta bikra, these psilos of chut, right? There's 7 hairs. On one side he's lighting it on fire, on the other side it goes into his ear, and he puts them one at a time. And vizdar mezika, again, where no wind should get in his ear. If he doesn't have that, laisi udra the nada. Rashi's muchin, some type of cotton that grows. That's a bluish color. The loy mashkif that wasn't beaten yet as part of its process to create it into whatever a fiber you're creating it to. So take it in the raw. The nanach ba, put it in the ear. V'latalya leudni, and put it in his ear. Lahadi nura, near the fire. And umizdar mizika, and be careful no wind blows. V'loy, if he doesn't have that, laisi gufsa the kanya tika bar meya shnin, he should take, Rashi says, the shveiferish shel kana yashan shenitlash hare meya shana. So you take some type of plant that grows like a cylinder, like a straw, but it had to be 100 years old. V'limleche milcha galadisa, and spread on it salt from Galil. It's salt, Rashi says, that comes from a stone that looks like marble. V'likli, and burn it. V'lidvik, and put it there on your ear. The simnach, at the end of the day, there are certain remedies that have liquid in them, and there are certain remedies here that were dry remedies, like powder. I'm sorry? Oh. So, retiva liabeshta, yabeshta retiva. If it's an oozing type of infection, then use the dry remedies. And if it's a very dry infection, then use the moist remedy. Amar Rabba Bar Zutra Mabchinina. Mailim Oznayim B'Shabbos. You're allowed to heal. Rashi says, Mailim Oznayim, Gide Oznayim, Gila Oznayim, Amim Shirab Lamata. It sounds like someone who's like Bell's palsy. His ear and his jaw sometimes will come hanging down on Shabbos, and that's a dangerous type of scenario. So you're allowed to raise it back up. You're allowed to raise it back up. It was either done by bracing it up, or it was done with some type of ointment. You're allowed to do it by hand. Avaloi besam, you're not allowed to use a sam because it's efsher biyad, and the sam is still the xerish of shchikas hamamonim. The xerish not to use medicines on Shabbos. Ikadami punkvakeret besam avaloi biyad. You're better off doing it besam and not biyad. That's the best way to do it on Shabbos. My timer, why is it better? Because mizrav zorif. Zokt Rashi, mizrav zorif means oisech abura, v'yesh chil Shabbos yoser. If you use your hand to push it back up, some of that could cause a wound. I don't know exactly what this condition is, but if you do it with a sam, then it wouldn't cause any type of chabura. Amar about Tofi Amarav. Ayin shemurda. Your eye has an issue, and Rashi says I think it's oozing. She writes a lot. No, if your eye wants to fall out, if your eye is in danger of falling out, I'm not sure what that means.
Threatens to burst forth from his socket.
So it's falling out.
That's what the person who's a rebel.
Yeah, Rashi says that. Muter lekoichlo b'Shabbos. You're allowed to put chalon b'Shabbos, which is some type of salve that will help for it. Sover minei. We thought hanamili hu desachki samonim esmo. When are you allowed to put this on? If you had prepared it from before Shabbos, so you're not grinding it on Shabbos, then you're allowed to. So we're only mater drabanon gzeira mishum shchikas hamamonim. But what if you actually had to grind the simonim on Shabbos and be over deraisa? That maybe no. I'm a matzah with Shabbos, v'asuya der cheshus rabbim, and bring through cheshus rabbim. So there's another deraisa involved. Lo, you wouldn't be allowed to. Amalei humar rabbanim v'biakov shemei l'dim sheminei Rabbi Yehuda afilu mizchik b'Shabbos v'asuya der cheshus rabbim muter because it's a sekondas tavoshes. Rabbi Yehuda shara l'michal eina b'Shabbos. Rabbi Yehuda allowed it. Amalei Rav Shmuel v'Yehuda man tzais l'Yehuda. Mochel Shavi. Whoever listens to Rabbi Yehuda's heter to grind simonim and do their rices to heal his eye, he is being mechal Shabbos. So there was clearly a dispute as to whether or not this would be allowed to be done. L'soif chosh beinei. At the end, Rabbi Shmuel Bar Yehuda himself, who says you're not allowed to be mechal Shabbos, had Rachman l'tzlon this ailment. Shalach lei, so he knew who's matir, so he sent a shliach to Rabbi Yehuda to ask him if he's allowed to heal himself. Shari Yoser, Shalach lei, so he answered back Rabbi Yehuda, l'chula mashari, everybody else is allowed to, except for you, l'idach aser, because you're the one who argued on me. You're the one who said that if you listen to me, you're mechal Shabbos, so you're not allowed to do it. Then Rabbi Yehuda says, why are you having kindness of me? You attacked me. You said that I'm leading people to be Mechal Shabbos. You think I made up this heter? V'chimedidihu demar Shmuelhi. Shmuel was matir. Mar Shmuel was matir to do this medicine on Shabbos. Hahi Amsa, Davabei Mar Shmuel. There was an Amma. There was a maidservant. There was a maidservant who was in the home of Mar Shmuel, and she had a big problem on Shabbos. And what happened was the katcha she had this problem with her eye on Shabbos. Tzavcha, she was crying, help me. Nobody helped her. She lost her eye. Because of that, Shmuel said we cannot allow such a sakana to happen again. My timer, the shurayni de'ena v'uvnasa deliba talu. Somehow the nerves of the eye is connected to the heart, and a sickness in the eye is a sickness in the heart, and therefore it's considered pikuach nefesh. Kigoyin mai. So what is exactly this disease? How do you know what it is? Rira, either rira, which means there's some type of drip coming out of the eye. Ditza means it's very painful. It feels like someone is stabbing your eye with a knife. Dama, which is of course blood, and dimasa, if you're tearing heavily. The kitcha is if it feels very hot. Utcholos uchla. which is that happens at the beginning. In other words, if it's a new condition coming on and it has one of these symptoms, that's when you're allowed to be Mechal Shabbos for. If he had a disease and it's getting better and now he has one of these conditions on the way out, that you're not allowed to. Or if it's only to make your eye look better, but not because your eye's in a terrible matzav sakana, the Lord, that wouldn't be allowed on Shabbos. Amar Bida, Zibura, which is a bite from some type of mosquito, udecharze, or Zibura is a hornet, okay, udecharze, and silui, simta, uchayv so Rashi says, Mi sheyeshlov achas me'ela. Either shenashcha tzira, which would be zibura, or shenitchav koit b'psorei, which is charze silui. That means he has a wooden splinter in him, so that's something that could be dangerous. And v'samta, samta is klug. He has some type of boil or infection. Not sure what that is. Udechayev eina, or if his eye hurts him, of a asi iluya, it came upon him. Someone who has fever came upon him. Hulu beibani, all of these. If you go into a bathhouse with one of these symptoms, sakanta, it's very dangerous. Chama lechama, v'silka letzina. The way you heat that is you heat up something. I'm sorry, chama is snoin yafal chama. If it's something that's heated, it's a hot type of you should use radish to cool it down. The silka latina, and you should use silka if it's a cold type of cold beet. If you use a warm beet if it's a cold type of machla. I got you. Sometimes it feels hot, sometimes it feels cold. The chilufa, if you do the opposite treatment, that means you put heat by heat and cold by cold. Then sakanta, it'll be a sakana. Chamimi la krava, you heat with a warm cloth, with a hot compress. You service a scorpion bite. Ukrili zibura, with a cold compress, you do a hornet bite. The chalufa sakanta, if you do the opposite, you're going to have a sakana. Chamimi l'silui, for a splinter, for a thorn, you use heat. Ukriri, and you use a cold compress. For chas penisa. Chas penisa is just if your skin is cracked. The chilufa sakanta. If you do the opposite, it will be a sakana. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll have tomorrow.
This is on the face.